David, I think we have a new contender for the game of the year. Do you know what that game might be?
I have no idea. I'm glad. I want you to fill me in on it.
All right, well, let me just look into my mind's eye for a second. And
Oh my God.
okay, so in today's episode, we're going to talk about the release of MindsEye and the general reception. I'm pretty sure anyone watching this video would already know what the reception would be, but we wanted to explore it. I should probably introduce ourselves as well. My name is Lennon, and joining me is David. We're going to be talking about MindsEye. We're going to be talking about the general increase or trend, and I guess this is inspired by MindsEye, of games being released in a broken state. And I really wanted to hear your thoughts on that, David. And then we're also going to wrap up today's conversation, as always, by exploring what we've been playing this week. So let's start things off with MindsEye, David. So where do we even begin?
Game of the year. That's where we begin.
Okay, so
I cannot wait. Game of the year. That's what I'm saying.
One of the previous Rockstar leads that left Rockstar to create their own company, I believe, or their own studio.
I don't trust them. Don't trust people. We're like, yeah, I've left Rockstar to chase my own dreams.
Well, hey, I mean, like, good for them, but it just, what we got is, well, okay, let's just start from the start. I didn't even know anything about this game until a couple of weeks ago, and then it was like, oh, this game is about to come out, and the reception before it even came out was, I felt it was incredibly negative. People were saying that it's basically a clone of GTA 5, and considering it's 2025, it doesn't look good, all that stuff. Then it finally came out, and then the reviews started coming out. And obviously they're not good. And everyone, every man and their dog is basically saying that this is the worst game ever. From what I can see, I don't think that's fair. I think that it is an aggressively just mediocre and average game, and it's just the trendy thing is to shit on it. It doesn't look like it's got a great story, and I'm sure you'd be happy to go through that. And also, it does seem to have a lot of performance issues, which inspired today's conversation of games being released in a broken mess. But I don't know if how hard everyone is dunking on it is necessarily fair. What are your thoughts?
I think it's totally fair. Like, there were a lot of red flags to begin with. One, we got barely any gameplay trailers for it.
Okay.
What they did show was very minimal. I believe it was run off a test build of the game. A lot of red flags in relation to how I believe it was the CEO of Build a Rocket Boy who claimed that Rockstar were paying people to dunk on it before it was released.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that's bad.
So if you're hearing this right now, Rockstar, thank you for the paycheck. We had two higher executive levels who just dipped out. They left before the game released.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's not good.
That's not good. Near the game's release, generally review codes get sent out to obviously the major publications. None of that was sent. So no review copies were sent, which is another huge red flag. And on top of that, the day it was released, they canceled a bunch of sponsored streams because of how much of a buggy mess the game was at launch.
Oh god!
Like performance issues on PC, with high-end PC specs, and even crashes on current gen consoles on PlayStation and Xbox.
Oh man!
Which boggles my mind that a game can be released in this state in 2025.
Kind of reminds me of CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk back in was it 2020 that it came out?
I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Obviously the hype for that was insane though, and I think that it was from a company with a proven track record of releasing quality games, and I think people were more upset because they were like, "Wow, we didn't expect this from CD Projekt Red." And obviously the game is in a much better place now, which is awesome.
100%.
But I guess from a relatively new studio, I guess it is a completely different story. It's like, if this is the main attraction in pretty much the only thing that's come out from the studio, I could be wrong, but
this is the first game release.
It's not a good first impression.
No, and it's clear. It's obviously some clearly troubling signs with the development if it was released in this state.
Yeah,
and this should have been baked in the oven a lot more. And I can kind of see why they want to try and push it for this year because if it got pushed back by another year, they would have to compete with GTA.
Yeah, I was gonna say this. It's because of this game that's the reason why GTA ended up getting pushed back because they were scared of MindsEye.
The Rockstar devs like, hey, we got to delay it. MindsEye's got to tank our sales. MindsEye could walk so GTA could run.
Do you think at any point in time you're going to be interested in picking this up, even if it did get patched?
Look, based off obviously the reception, look, it's sitting at a mostly negative on Steam.
Yeah, and I think I saw on Metacritic at the time of recording this. I'm pretty sure it's like a 43.
A 43.
Yeah.
I think even if they were to patch up all these issues and make this game a very smooth, playable experience, watching streams and just looking at gameplay, it just seems very generically a third-person open world shooter with very basic gunplay, cover mechanics, and driving mechanics. The story, I've read the story. It's not really interesting. It's not game-changing.
We were talking about this the other day, and you said it was really fucking weird.
Yeah, it is quite bizarre. Essentially, the character you play, as his name's Jacob, he goes to the city of Red Rock, which is a virtual city
it's like Las Vegas or something, isn't it?
Las Vegas, yeah. He goes there to try to find out more about the implant he's got called the MindsEye. Because 3 years ago he had a traumatic experience in the army that he can't remember, so he's trying to regain his memories. Somehow corporate espionage happens with hackers and stuff like that. And then throughout the story, somehow aliens get introduced into the story, and it turns out that the aliens hacked Jacob's MindsEye so he can control the robots.
We gotta get the MindsEye.
He's like, I'm hacking in with my MindsEye. I can see into the future.
Please, alien, don't touch me or my MindsEye.
Please, it's all I have. No, Elon, I don't want to go to Mars. And it turns out because they hacked into his MindsEye, they made him half alien somehow. Like his DNA got modified to make him half alien, which I don't know how that works. Don't know how. But
half man, half alien, full MindsEye, love machine,
full MindsEye, all love, and he's ready to rock.
Oh my god!
The game ends on a cliffhanger because somehow these guys thought they were going to get a sequel. Because
there's no way.
It was so engrossing and people loved it. Essentially, Jacob sacrifices himself because they open a portal for the aliens to come in and harvest everyone in the city, and he's like, no one's gonna die for me anymore, and he runs at the portal heroic style and like just runs into the portal and the portal collapses on itself.
Can you imagine if like the Doom guy was waiting for him on the other side and it was just like this is actually secretly a spin-off of Doom? That'd be so sick.
Oh god. Oh god, dude, I'd rather play Doom, to be honest. I think a lot of people. So yeah, that's the whole story. Wacky and weird. I don't know how they fit into aliens.
Yeah, that's so bizarre. But this kind of got me thinking though. So I guess just to make a quick point, I feel like, I mean, it makes sense to me that a previous Rockstar lead would want to make a GTA style game, but obviously this isn't an isolated thing. Like there's so many instances or over the past, let's just say 2 decades, where there have been GTA clones that come out, and it makes me wonder why people are so fascinated by trying to make their own version, or more specifically, if they do make their own version, how well does it stand on its own 2 feet? So this could be looked at as a GTA clone. Do you think it would stand on its own 2 feet? I would probably say no.
Hell no.
Hell no. But there are examples of ones that I think have potential or are really good. Like say, for example, the Saints Row series or
Yep.
the Mafia series or there's Sleeping
Yep.
Dogs. Off the top of my mind, there's
Your mind's eye.
off the top of my mind's eye, I think that there's like 7 different series. There's Watch Dogs, but you and I were having a chat the other day, and you said that you don't think that Watch Dogs could really be considered like a GTA clone, and it's more just.
I feel like this is a controversial topic.
Oh my god! Hot take,
hot
straight
take.
from David's mind's eye.
Dave, straight from the
Straight off
mind's
the
eye.
dome. Straight off his third eye.
I don't think Watch Dogs is a GTA clone.
Yeah.
I think it is its own separate category. I think it's just an Ubisoft game.
Yeah, to be fair,
which is not much better.
When you told me that, I was just like, I was mad instantly. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I actually think you're right. Because like,
it's
Assassin's Creed is just like, Renaissance or like medieval freaking GTA. It's not GTA, just like it's the same type of style of game as Watch Dogs or Prince of Persia, or just all of them kind of follow the same formula. So yeah. But no, and there was actually another kind of GTA clone that you brought up that blew my mind as well. And I completely forgot about it. And fucking Simpsons Hit and Run. Like, it's like an
Simpsons
OG PlayStation 2 game, and very formative of probably most people our age, I guess, probably would have played it at some stage as a kid. And it's just such an incredible GTA clone. But I guess my question to you is, do you think any of these series, and any that I may have forgotten, do you think that they have enough unique or individual identity to not just be a GTA clone, and can stand on their own 2 feet, or in some instances be better than GTA itself?
Look, that's a really good question, Ellen. I think yes.
Search your mind's eye.
I think my mind's eye is telling me say yes. I think it's yes. I think Saints Row, it knows what it is. It's a goofy game. It's got lovable characters. Same with Simpsons Hit and Run, the Simpsons franchise. Same with Sleeping Dogs. They all pay homage to obviously the GTA clone style game, but they have their own unique identity to pretty much stand separate with Grand Theft Auto. Is it better? Is it going to be better than the GTA games? I don't think so. I think Rockstar have pretty much nailed
They've
down
mastered that formula, man.
They mastered it. They literally have cooked it to perfection. So I don't think there's going to be a developer out there that could compete with a Rockstar open world game.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think those game series do have merit to stand on their own 2 feet and not be overshadowed by GTA, essentially.
I mean, I feel like they're a pretty ambitious game, or type of game to make, because it's an open world. You got to think about all these different vehicles and systems, and I don't know. I just think it'd be really hard.
The mind's eye.
Oh, we're all living in a mind's eye. I don't know. I just think it'd be really hard, but to try and compete with GTA, and maybe that's why we 100%. Don't see so many. I guess GTA style games or clones, but no, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting because obviously we have one this year, and which again, it's the sole reason why we're not getting GTA 6 until next year. But I think, I'm curious. I'm curious if we're ever going to get something that comes along and is going to be better than GTA itself. And well, actually, now that I think about it, would you consider Cyberpunk a GTA clone?
No. It's not really. It's more of an RPG.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so, because it's more like a quest kind of style thing.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't consider Cyberpunk to be a GTA clone. I think it's too ambitious and too big to be considered just a clone. I think I see it as a CD Projekt Red RPG.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then: if you were to be handed a copy of GTA 5 and a copy of of Cyberpunk 2077, which one would you pick up first, or which one would you prefer?
Ooh, honestly, probably Cyberpunk.
Interesting.
I think that game is just so brilliantly made with its integrated systems and its story that playing it, I just find myself getting lost in it. Same with like Grand Theft Auto, but I just there's something about something that just draws me in. Maybe because it could be the setting and it's just so unique with its mechanics. But yeah, I do love that game.
Because I didn't really think about it until now, but maybe obviously GTA, the GTA formula, it's obviously such a very specific formula, and I think the reason why GTA was such a popular well, it's always been popular, but why it was initially so popular is because it introduced the freedom of, it's like, oh, you can just pick up a weapon and kill anyone you want, or you can hijack any vehicle and just go wherever you want. And now that basically any RPG or, like say Cyberpunk, you can just do that, but there's also more depth, more leveling, more all that shit. It's almost like it kind of exceeds GTA. Not to say that it's like necessarily objectively better or anything like that, but maybe there's just more substance there. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really think about that until now. But
yeah, well, the thing is, I don't go into Cyberpunk killing cops like I do in GTA when I just want to have some bored fun. Do you know what I mean?
No. It knows exactly what it is, and I think, like, God, even just it's been really impressive so far. I guess just to talk about GTA 6 for a second. Even though visually, when I initially look at it, I should say, it obviously looks really good, but it still looks like GTA to me. But then when I've seen breakdowns of like graphics and physics, or like, say like the I remember when they break into the like little corner store, like the 7-Eleven or whatever, and all the bottles and the condensation and like all that stuff, and how much detail is in that blows my mind. Just how much attention to detail that they have for all these like really just small or trivial things. Like that is what I'm really looking forward to. Just being in a super immersive world. I think that's super exciting.
Look, that game is going to break so many records, and I guarantee we're going to see a massive week in production loss in like employers, because everyone's going to try and everyone's like, yeah, I'm sick, or trying to take the annual leave just so they can play this game.
Well, my goal, I don't know if it's too ambitious, but my goal is that if by the time GTA 6 comes, I hope that by the time we reach GTA 6, hopefully the world doesn't end, but also I hope that I hope that maybe we're doing this shit full time so we can actually do stuff with the game for Heaps Good. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be the dream right there, just to entertain the audience with the shenanigans we can get with GTA 6. But very excited for that game to come out.
Yeah, but speaking of Cyberpunk, before I think I'll just hand it over to you for a little bit, because we were kind of touching on this the other day when we were talking, but just it feels like there is a trend of games being released in just such a broken and shabby state. And I'm just curious to hear your thoughts or where you want to take that conversation.
Yeah, and it's honestly, as a consumer, as a person who grew up on video games, I won't lie, I love playing video games. I know how hard the developers put their love and care and hours into building a video game. It's not an easy task. It is not easy. It takes years and amount of money and a lot of effort. But the reason why we're seeing all these breaking releases, it just comes down to corporate greed.
Yeah.
All these
money, all these time constraints, all that shit.
Constraints. Yeah. All these publishers are just giving the worst deadlines for the developers to try and release their games, and they come out and broken messes. And then the publisher acts all surprised, like, oh, we didn't know this was going to happen. Oh God. And like a surprise Pikachu face. So it blows my mind that it's still constantly happening. And I don't think it's ever going to change. I think we're always going to see games that are just going to be released in broken states. The last probably 10 years, we've had some major releases that have been ended up into massive broken states at launch, which should have never happened, which is a massive oversight for the publishers who want to push these games out.
Do you have a couple of games in mind? Like, I mean, obviously the go-to would be Cyberpunk.
When Cyberpunk 2077 came out, that was on consoles. That was an actual joke. I bought it on day one on the PS4. I played it on my PS5, and I honestly played it for about 2 hours, didn't pick it up until it got fixed, and bought it on PC. It was just absolutely embarrassing that CD Projekt Red released that. And it was a huge controversy because no one could fathom that the developers who made The Witcher 3, which is one of the best RPGs that you can play, would release a game like this.
Yeah, exactly. Do you
And
have any other examples in mind?
yeah. Fallout 76.
Oh my god, I almost completely forgot about that.
Yeah, Fallout 76, the Bethesda's version of a MMO for Fallout 76. Disastrous launch as well.
But it has
Buggy mess as
16
per
times the
Bethesda.
detail.
16 times the detail. Todd Howard just was like, look, it just works. Get it released. Now, obviously, like Cyberpunk, it's in a much better state. Because obviously they worked on it. However, that should have been all done at release.
Yeah.
Because it obviously it's going to be a black mark against their name.
One that I think. Sorry, you go.
No, you go. Sorry.
No, well, I was just going to say, like, one game that I think of is No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is getting closer to, like, I'm curious about when this started happening, because I feel like maybe the console generation of like the 360 or PS3, it didn't really happen, but then it really started happening with like Xbox One, PS4 era, and with that game specifically, it just felt maybe back then it wasn't necessarily a performance issue, but maybe it was more the fact that it was just lacking substance or content, and then there was just a shitload of content patches. So maybe games being released in a buggy mess. Oh, actually, I feel like it was quite common for people to bag out Bethesda for like Oblivion and Skyrim for being quite messy and buggy, but it was like a term of endearment back then. But now it's different, and I think it's because the landscape has completely changed. And you were touching on
the goalposts have moved.
Exactly, but I think it's easy for us as consumers to just be like, oh, well, they should just let it cook in the oven more. But there's constraints, whether it be financial, economical, the fact that, it would cost significantly more for a game to be made these days than it would even just 10, 15 years ago. But then we kind of run into the same problem as like Marvel movies, how the budgets are being blown out and increasing, but they've got less and less time to do all these special effects and stuff like that. And I almost feel like that's the same thing for games at the moment, because it's like, all right, let's try and ship these games out as quickly as we can, because, we obviously, the longer we work on it, the more it's going to cost. And then I almost feel like executives are okay with putting broken games out, because it's like, let's put it out, we'll just fix it later because we need to get our cash injection now and make sure the shareholders are happy.
100%. It's that mentality right there, that corporate greed mentality.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel like it's long-term thinking. But it
really isn't.
But I also think to a certain degree that this is informed by consumer habits as well. So, you've got your Fortnites, you've got your battle passes, you've got all these microtransactions or cosmetics that you can get in like Call of Duty and like whatever shooter. And while I'm not necessarily against microtransactions, I think people still, like, despite the state of a game and how it's released, like, people still seem to be keen to pay hand over fist for microtransactions and DLC content within games. And now we're starting to move towards this direction of games are starting to, in US terms, are going to be $80, and which is just
for them.
The price of everything is just going up. But I guess the price of everything is going up outside of gaming as well. So I wouldn't even know how a developer would even tackle trying to fix this.
Look, that's a very good point, and I just think with the further push and bounds with technology, with the current consoles and next gen consoles are on the horizon, we're going to keep seeing the goalposts be moved, and games are going to take more time to be developed and cost even more. Which, how do you fix that as a developer when your publisher's like breathing down your neck? So obviously I don't have that answer. It's impossible to think of an answer.
No, I don't think there's one singular answer. But if it was a perfect world, every game that would be made would be released in a perfect state. But this is not a perfect world. I think an outlier company is like Larian Studios with like Baldur's Gate 3 and all that stuff, because apparently that is like a mid-sized developer, and apparently the budget wasn't super crazy.
Baldur's Gate 3 literally is a phenomenal game, and obviously props to them for releasing it in that amazing state. There was that other game that recently came out that was released by a few Ubisoft ex-devs. Team of 30.
Yeah, Expedition 33.
Expedition 33.
Yeah.
That literally has changed the dynamic, because if these guys can do it with a team of 30, why aren't these?
Is it only a team of 30?
It was like a team of 30. I believe it was a team of 30.
That's insane.
And honestly, I've looked at the gameplay, and I've never played a turn-based style game, but I'm really interested in picking it up and playing.
Yeah, I really want to get it too. I feel like I'm late to the bandwagon of that game. But the cool thing about that though, and I really do hope that a lot of mid-sized developer studios or whatever start going down this path. And it's that game, and again, just using US terms, was only $50.
Yeah.
Super affordable and
incredibly affordable. When it released, it was on special. It was like 15% off.
So yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know if I've like kind of taken the conversation away from the original point of what you're wanting to talk about with broken games, but you know, it does feel like it is a rising trend. Battlefield 2043 or whatever.
2047, whatever it was called. That was a broken buggy mess.
I was really excited for that one as well, because I've never really been a massive fan of the Battlefield series. I've always just preferred COD, but that looked really cool, and I was excited for just a modern day one rather than World War I, World War II. Exactly. And then when everything came out about that game, I was like, oh fuck, that's so disappointing. Yeah. But do you think this trend is going to increase over time? Is it only going to get worse, or do you see a future where it's going to get better?
Look, I hope I'm hopeful it gets better.
Yeah, obviously we hope it's going to get better. But do we think it is?
Do we think it is? No, because it keeps happening. We keep seeing this trend where we're going to release this game, and then it gets released into a buggy, broken mess, and it happens same time after and after again. So
why I order?
I hope the dynamic changes. I hope developers or publishers, and decide to maybe take the chip off, to get that chip off their shoulder, and leave these developers to cook a bit more. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't know. I think another part of the problem is that, you've got all of these, the industry itself has been rife with all these layoffs and studio shutdowns, and you've got big dogs like Microsoft and Sony, PlayStation, just like acquiring all these other companies, and it just feels like it's all being absorbed. It kind of, if anything, it kind of reminds me of how, back in the day, there used to be like the console wars, but there also used to be like the mobile wars where it's like iPhone versus Android. And I feel like that just kind of subsided. Like no one gives a fuck anymore. But the thing is, I just think that we're going to get to a point where it's just, there's going to be like no mid-sized companies anymore. It's just going to be indie studios, because that's like where else are you going to start? And then it's just going to be Microsoft or Sony or the other, like Tencent or whatever, just owning all of these, like absorbing this talent and all these studios, and they're not going to be able to continue making the smaller budget or mid-budget scale games. And I think that is where a big part of the problem is as well. It's just all this talent going to these larger projects, and then all of these time constraints, budgetary constraints, and I was going to say Big Brother. It's not Big Brother, but basically just the corporate overlords would obviously encourage or mandate that. It almost seems like it's like you got to work your ass off, make a really great game, and then as soon as you make it, you're fired. It's like,
and that's really honestly just awful.
It's so
that
shit,
such
dude.
A shitty thing. It's such a shit thing to do. Like, especially if you release a masterpiece of a video game, and then like 2 weeks later they go, "Oh, thanks for your help, bye." It's just,
God, I would love if we were filthy fucking rich, David. I would love to just almost kind of be like an angel investor, but just like try and open up like a couple of like different mid-sized studios or something like that. That's so unrealistic. But to be able to just try and help the gaming industry with having like padding out the annual releases with like, okay, here's some actual when I think of like I'm on a tangent, I'm sorry, but when I think of a mid-tier game, this is a bit of an older one, but do you remember like Spec Ops: The Line?
Yes, that game, phenomenal game.
Games like that, like
still roughed me.
Yeah, but it's a brilliant game. It had a very specific style to it, or whatever. But from memory, I don't think it was from like a major studio or anything. I could be wrong though. But that I feel like we get a whole lot less of that these days.
Yeah. I want to find those hidden gems. I want those hidden gems out somewhere.
And to be fair, they would be out there. I think there's but it's more like indie gems now.
Yeah, 100%. It's more indie gems, and that's why I'm so grateful for indie developers, because there are so many great indie games out there, and I'm very grateful that they're out there producing those types of games.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens in the future. I think that people expect that studios like Rockstar are like the gold standard of releasing something that isn't broken at launch. And I think everyone's expecting that they're going to handle GTA 6 really well. And I have full faith in Rockstar that
100%.
It's not going to be a broken mess at launch. And
it's going to be like MindsEye.
They're going to channel their MindsEye to make sure that they're not going to do a MindsEye. But no, I think I'm going to be positive, or try and be positive, that the future is bright. I just think that it's like where's the first domino to fall in regards to trying to make progress towards that more positive future. I don't know.
Like where do we start? That's the question.
And who knows? Maybe it is unfortunately one of those scenarios where it has to get worse before it gets better. It's kind of like how with Battlefront 2 and their really shitty loot box like monetization, and because of
we want to give players a sense of pride and accomplishment.
We want players to play for literally 4 weeks straight to unlock Darth Vader. But I think and because they fucked up royally with that game, I feel like we don't really have, I could be wrong, but I feel like loot boxes aren't really as much of a thing in games anymore. Obviously, monetization has evolved into something else, and the battle passes kind of came in, and cosmetic purchases like that was what became really popular after that. But I think that if a company fucks up, or a studio fucks up royally with a game, and if it's like super, super broken, it ends up having a net positive effect like within the industry. But that could just be my opinion.
No, it comes down to just, vote with your wallets. If you don't like something, the best way to know is by just not buying it.
Yeah, but if the Sabrina Carpenter skin is only like 99 cents, how could I not buy that?
Espresso!
But did you have anything else you wanted to add to this topic?
No, I think we covered it. I think, if we were to keep going on this topic here all night, I think I feel like it's definitely a conversation we can revisit, where we can obviously, do a bit more research and obviously focus on it entirely with the industry, I guess.
Yeah.
But
it's like one of those conversations where, like in Australia, there's the meme of like late night having a couple of beers in the back, like on the back patio with like that glass table that everyone had. At some point, it'd be like one of those late night conversations that we could have, but obviously for the sake of our listeners, try to keep it as condensed as possible. But if you're happy to move on, I am very keen to hear about what you've been playing this week.
Well, thanks for asking that question. I'm still currently going through Death Stranding. I didn't understand how monumental this game was. Silly of me, because it is a Hideo Kojima game. Last night I just beat Chapter 3. And it's like a 13 chapter game. I'm now up to Chapter 5. I'm up to Chapter 5 now, so I'm hoping the rest of the chapters are condensed. But still playing it. I'm getting ready, obviously, the sequel, which comes out next week. Very excited to dive into that, but I do want to finish Death Stranding. I also did purchase, which we'll obviously discuss this at a later time. I did buy the PS5 disc tray for my PS5 Pro.
Hell yeah. I really need to get around and getting one of those for myself.
Yeah. $125. I mean, it's silly that you buy a Pro console that have a disc tray.
Hey, side note, console, like, is hardware more expensive? Because I felt like for a while there, because of the tariffs, the prices were going to go up. But have you noticed, have the prices actually gone up in Australia?
Yeah, so the PS5 prices went up. I think they did go up by like $50 or $60.
That's so annoying, dude.
But weirdly enough, the consoles prices went up, but they dropped the PS5 disc trays down because it was $150 and they dropped it down to $100. So
okay, sorry, cut out there. Did you say 125?
Yeah, 125. So which bizarre. I don't know if it's the tariffs.
Who knows? Okay, interesting.
Man.
I wouldn't even get it though for PS5 games. It's just because I still have I think even I really started buying online games during like the Xbox One and PS4 generation. So even if I did have PS4 games, a lot of them are already just on the PS5 anyway. But I've got maybe 6 or 7 PS4 games that are on disc, and I'd really like to actually be able to play them, but I can't.
That's the beautiful thing about physical media, and that's why I think physical media is so important, because when you buy a game on the PS Store, you don't actually own it; you just own the license that Sony can just take away from you. Physical media, having a disc, especially when you want to play PS4 games, is so important because you just go back to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's cool. So you got did you get any new games as well?
Yeah. So I bought The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. I've been ever since the show came out, and with the
I couldn't help myself. I needed to get the 5th remaster.
With the way how the show handled the second game, I thought it was a good time to maybe revisit it, because I never actually completed it back on PS4, so I want to actually sit down and play it. I also bought Astrobot, which was the Game of the Year winner for last year, so I definitely want to see what the hype's about with that one as well. It looks really fun.
I got whatever the first one was that originally came out with the PS5. I can't remember what it was.
The
Astro's Playground,
yeah.
So, or is it the other way around? And either way. So it feels insane. Like, I'm playing, spoiler, I'm still playing Borderlands, but the controller, when you shoot, you kind of get used to it after a while, the PS5 controller, but when you pick up Astrobot or Astro's Playground, you just forget how insane the haptic feedback is in these things.
Yes.
It's unreal. I wish more games took more advantage of that technology, I guess.
100%. And I think, next generation, we're probably going to have on both sides a controller that has that haptic feedback.
Yeah, because isn't the Xbox Series X controllers basically just the Xbox One controllers?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And so you're playing Death Stranding, and you got a couple of games. Sick.
Couple games that to go from my backlog. What about you? What have you been playing?
Well, as I just said, I've been playing Borderlands.
Whoa, shocked.
I'm level 60. I'm pretty sure. I think the max level is 61, and I've been playing through the General Knox's Armory. I think that's what the DLC is called. I wanted to. I think last week I said I wanted to play through the DLC, and I don't know. I want to be able to say that I've done everything in the game, but there's this one DLC called Mad Moxie's. It's basically like a wave-based arena thing,
right?
And I didn't realize apparently it is super excruciating. It's just each arena, if you want to complete the rounds to its full extent, it takes roughly 2 hours.
What?
Yeah, and there's 3 of them. So it's apparently
6 hours.
Yeah, and it's you can't just progress okay, I'm going to play this for 15 minutes here or there. It's if you do one arena, you got to start it from the start and make your whole way to the end. So I thought...
So there's no checkpoints or save spots?
No. So there's 3 different arenas and they're an hour and a half or 2 hours each apparently. And I was just like, nah, fuck that. That is that's dog shit. So
I have a life.
Yeah. So I've been finding it hard to stay motivated to keep pushing through. I
wonder why.
For the rest, not necessarily because of that. I've just avoided the Mad Moxie DLC, but I'm hoping to properly finish up the General Knox DLC this week. Nice. And then I think I was going to move on to Borderlands 2, but I think I'm going to do the pre-sequel next because, I guess chronologically it technically falls in between, even though it was released after. I did start playing it a little bit because I was just curious, and I didn't realize it was so it's developed by 2K Australia, but basically the whole game is just Australian and Australian humor, and I kind of hate it because like I don't know what it is about the Australian accent or Australian humor, but in person I love it.
G'day.
In person I love it, but I hate it on movie, TV, or just like media because it always feels like so forced.
Yeah, so it's stereotypical like.
Yeah.
Oh, g'day, mate. Let's go on the piss.
Yeah, there's this side mission that I did where it's like, oh, you got to find so and so in the Billabong on the moon or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck is it? What am I doing?
Oh, let me go cook some shrimps in the barbie.
It honestly, it's excruciating. But
dude,
outside of that, I haven't really honestly. After our last podcast, like I intentionally tried just playing more PS5 so I can have more to talk about, but I'm honestly still powering through the Borderlands series at the moment. I did see that the pre-order just went live for Borderlands 4.
Dude, the prices are ridiculous.
So I would say that it is bad, but it's not as bad as it could have been because obviously the trend right now is to go to $80 like US. And it's only 70. So it's bad, but it could be worse at the same time. So
it's $120, right?
Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking Australian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the rest of the world probably is going to go by the US prices. So that's what I go off of.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so when I keep saying like it's going to be like an $80 game, obviously that's not Australian. Like in Australia, I think $60 games were like $109 or something like that in Australia. So it's been shit here the whole time. But yeah, so I don't know. I still don't understand why I'm on such a Borderlands kick because
look at that itch.
I'm not necessarily passionate about the series whatsoever, but I was just like, yeah, fuck it. I'm just like, I've got a hankering for it, but I'm also starting to get to the point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm starting to get over this and I wouldn't mind playing something else.
Let me play the pre-sequel. That's different.
Well, recently PS Plus or whatever it is, I don't have the version where you pay for like basically the equivalent of Game Pass. I've just got the version where you've just got to get your monthly games. Yeah. And I did see that Balatro was available to download, and I haven't played that before. And apparently,
I haven't played it either.
Apparently, it's insane. So I might start getting into that. But I'm also kind of keen to pick up the. I've got The Witcher 3 remaster for the PS5, so I wouldn't mind. Not the remaster, but the upgraded version or something.
Yeah, the PS5 upgrade.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking of exploring those. So check back in next week, and knowing me, I'll probably still just be playing the pre-sequel. So
I'm now on the Borderlands 2.
Yay, more please.
Yay. I love Claptrap.
I know what you're going to be playing next week. It's going to be MindsEye.
It's going to be MindsEye. Oh man.
But yeah, look, I'm happy to wrap it up there. So I can actually start editing this episode. But thanks for joining me for another week. Thanks for having me. I hope the audio works out this time because we tried recording this last night and it didn't work.
If it's not, I'm just gonna kill myself in game.
Okay. I'm going to dissolve the company of Heaps Good, and I'm going to walk away from this project, and you, Dave, and Cam are probably never going to hear from me again.
What happened? The last I heard, he was in Central America somewhere.
Yeah. Went to Central America to explore my mind's eye. But yeah, thanks for listening,
and to
guys.
explore my body.
If anyone is listening at this point, if you have made it the whole way through, obviously, thanks. We'll see you next week. And yeah, if you're playing Borderlands, the pre-sequel, or if you're playing
MindsEye.
literally any game, yeah, if you're playing MindsEye and you hate it, let us know down below.
Thanks, guys.